Hey guys, it's Gracie, and this week's video is a little different than my other ones. It's kind of a vloggy type experience video, so I hope you enjoy. So recently I met Jen McAllister, for those of you who don't know, Jennxpenn on YouTube, and it was really incredible. I've been watching Jen on YouTube for about like 5 years. She was the first YouTuber that I ever really got into. I went all the way to Nashville to go and meet her, and I met up with a bunch of my friends who I had known from Twitter, and we got there at about 12 o'clock, and the concert, keep in mind, didn't start until around 5 is when Jen's meet and greet started. But we wanted to be first in line because she was on tour with Tyler Ward and they did the whole first in line thing. But unfortunately, with my luck, it started pouring down rain. This time I had umbrellas, so we had our umbrellas and we were fine, but then the weather started getting like really bad. So the manager of the concert came out and got all the people that were first in line so that she could know who we were, and then told us the building that we could go into to be safe. So we started walking to that building, and as we were walking, we had to cross a street. And as I was sitting there, a U-Haul truck was driving by, and so we stopped to let it drive by. And as it was driving by, Jen was sitting in the front seat of it. And me and my friends, we started screaming, and she waved to us, but she wasn't going to get out of the car because it was pouring down rain. And so as we were running to the building, I had my umbrella, I was fine, I was staying dry because of the umbrella. Then the umbrella snapped in half and flipped inside out. So it was broken, and then I was drenched in water, of course. So we got into the room and we kind of like dried off and we waited the rain out, and then we went back and got in line, and they were setting up for Jen's meet and greet, and it started to rain again, so they had to move her meet and greet to inside, and it was a crazy mess, and it was pushed back and delayed so they didn't get to do like the first in line stuff like they had done at other shows, but they still were going to come and try to take a picture later. But anyway, I went into the meet and greet and it was crazy. For those of you guys who don't know, I've been talking with Jen on Twitter for the past few months, and so when I went up there and she realized who I was, she freaked out, and here's a clip of that.
No way! So nice to meet you.
Yes, this side, you got it.
Also, and after that, you come right over to me. Really nice. Thank you so much. It's so nice to meet you.
It was really exciting because like I wanted her to remember me, but like I didn't know because I'm sure she talks to a bunch of people on Twitter. So then, after the meet and greet was over, they still hadn't done the first in line picture, and I really wanted a ticket, and so did all my friends, and so they asked me to ask the people if they were still going to take it. So I started banging on the door, and the manager opened it, and I said, "Are we still taking the first in line picture?" And she said she'll ask Jen. So a few minutes later, she came out, and she said that Jen's going to come out really quick and take the picture. And keep in mind, this was like 15 minutes before they were supposed to open the door, so this time, there was so many people there. All of Tyler's fans and all of Jen's fans were there. So I was standing there because I had just been talking to her. I felt someone like wrap their arms around my back, and I turn around and it's Jen. And so I like freaked out and I wrapped my arms around her really big and gave her a big hug. And then we took the first in line crowd picture, which you can see here. So then after that, the photographer said that they should take a funny picture. And so Jen told me to hold her, and she like jumped up in my arms and I was like holding her legs. And then he was like, "Get on Tyler's back." So Jen like pushed herself onto Tyler's back, who was standing right in front of me. And so in this next picture, you can barely see me because I'm like underneath Jen. And right after they took the pictures, they ran inside because they had to get ready to set up for the concert. We were standing there waiting for the concert, and then I looked to my side and Jen's literally standing right there. And so we like said hey to her, and then she had to go in because everyone else like found her that she was standing out right there, and people started freaking out. And so she came on stage and she introduced herself, and here's a clip from that.
My name is Jennxpenn Adopted Me, and for those of you I'm a vlogger on YouTube under the name Jennxpenn, and I'm also the host of the Sincerely Yours Tour. This is actually my last show on the tour, so it's a very special show for me. We have a great show for you tonight. A little later I'm going to be answering some questions, so if you have any, then go over to Twitter and ask me with the hashtag #AskJen.
And then when she said she was going to do the Q&A, I decided I would ask her to adopt me. And then she came on stage and she started answering the questions, and she answered one question from this girl, and then she started the second question, and she hesitated when she said it. She was like, "My next question is," and then she like looked right at me, and then she said my Twitter username, and she was like, she wants me to adopt her. And then she was like, "How did you come up here on stage?" And so of course I was like freaking out at this point. So I walked up on stage and she gave me a hug, and she said something, but I don't even remember what it was because I was so out of it at this point. And so she was like, "How about you introduce yourself?" And I said, "Hey guys, I'm Gracie." And then she was like, "Cool, Gracie, me and Gracie are going to go backstage now, but here's Tyler Ward." My friends got half of that on video, like the first part they didn't get because they didn't know I was going to be caught on stage. But here's a short clip of that.
Okay, me and Gracie are going to go backstage, but everybody please give it up for Tyler Ward!
So that was really crazy. And then Jen took me off stage, and I remember the first thing that she did when we got off stage was she gave me a big hug, and she was just like, "Thank you for everything you do for me. I'm so happy I can finally meet you, and I love you so much." And it was just so cool, and she's so nice. And then she pulled out her phone, and she got a guy to take a picture of us, which she took on her phone, but you can see that picture here. After that happened, we talked for a couple minutes, I don't know, maybe 5, and then she walked me back to the crowd, and a few of my friends were like there waiting for me when I was like walking out, and so she talked to them for a few minutes, and then she hugged us all bye, and then she went back. And then it ended, and all of our phones were about to die, and of course, you know, internet people, you have to have your phones. So we went over, and we had our chargers obviously, so we went over to this little area and we were charging our phones. Like, we were sitting by a door because that's where we were charging our phones, and then the door opened and Jen was just sitting there. And so we're like, well, hey, maybe we should wait around because she'll come out after, like, the crowd leaves. And then because of curfew, because it was getting really late, it was almost past 11 o'clock at this point. And because of like state laws and curfew, if you're under 18, you can't be out, all this stuff. So they had to get everyone outside of the venue because the venue could have gotten in trouble. But the manager that worked at the venue told us where the buses were, and so we walked out there, and we walked around back, and sure enough, we saw, it wasn't her bus anymore because they had already unloaded that, but it was the U-Haul truck which they were traveling in for that show. And so we stood by that and we were just waiting, and then it started raining again. And since my other 3 umbrellas had broken earlier that day, all I had left in my car was a Hannah Montana umbrella. And then the drummer came out from Tyler's set, and we started talking to her, and then we asked her if she knew if Jen was coming out, and she says, "Oh, I'll go get her." So she walked in, and a few minutes later, Jen came out, and when Jen was outside, we got to talk to her for about 10 minutes, I guess, and we took a lot of pictures, which you can see here. We had just gotten back to the hotel. It was like 2 in the morning. And then I looked on Twitter and she had tweeted the pictures of us, and that was pretty insane. It was so crazy getting to meet her because I've been watching her for so long, and she is my YouTube inspiration, and she's what encouraged me to start making videos again. And it was just crazy to finally meet her. She's literally one of the nicest people that I've ever met in my entire life. So I got to meet a bunch of you guys at the concert, and it was so cool to meet so many people. And like anyone, people were freaking out after they met Jen. So I recorded a few people's reactions of right after they met Jen.
Jen was like the sweetest person ever, and she smelled really good. I met Jennxpenn today. It was honestly the most amazing few minutes of my life. And it was really amazing to meet the person that's kept me here for so long. And it was really emotional, but she was so sweet and she was so nice, and I just want to thank her for being so fun. My name is Ashley, and I just met Jen, and I think I'm going to die a little, I think I just died a little bit, and she was so sweet, and she smelled good, and she looks just the same as she does in her pictures, and I love her so much.
I had an anxiety attack, and Jennxpenn saved me.
Yeah, I just met Jennxpenn. It was so amazing. She's so nice. And she signed my shirt. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
One thing I really remember, because I told her that her and a few other YouTubers inspired me to become a YouTuber as well, and she's like, oh, I don't remember exactly what she said, but she was like, yeah, she hugged me and stuff. And then I also thanked her for the opportunity. She's like, I'm glad you're here and all that, and I just wanted to die. You can find me on YouTube and Twitter under Alyssa127.
So when I met Jen, she is like super sweet, but she is like so small, but like she is so sweet. I was filming, and I thought I was filming a video, and then I ended up not even filming a video, and it was a picture. So yeah, it was kind of awkward because I was very nervous, but I didn't shake. Oh, I did. So nice.
So pretty much to sum it all up, it was the best day. Jen McAllister is now my mother, and I got to meet one of my favorite people on this earth, and I met a lot of new friends, and it was incredible. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you love Jen, because who doesn't love Jen? So leave a comment down below if you've ever met Jen and what your reaction was, and if you haven't met her before, leave a comment down below thinking what your reaction would be. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys all next Sunday.